Hello. Before I get it, this is curious. Before I get into my video, I was about 15 seconds into recording the video, and friggin' like 10 episodes or 10 commercials, 15-second commercials of Tahoe Blue popped up on my screen. Right, cut me off right in the middle of my video. Never buy Tahoe Blue. There's your advertisement. I hope it freaking helps you. Now, if I don't get cut off again, back to my video. Bucking hat. Alright, hi, this is Curious again. Sorry for the freaking mini rant. I was thinking about something I've heard, and it's like, how does that work exactly? We need guns to overthrow a tyrannical government. Okay. In a previous video, I'm probably going to label this one Blood of Tyrants. But in a previous video, I did a video called Blood of Patriots. And I kind of friggin' came back down to reality now, but it's because I was like, these shooters attacked this Islamic church, this mosque. I think it's a mosque. Yeah. And, wait, no, synagogue is Jewish. Mosque. Okay, right. And the thing was that I was like, blood of patriots, blood of tyrants. I guess I watched too many alt-right or anti-SJW videos or something, because I was like, well, wait a minute. These people are harboring them. They do not care about their frigging sins against us, but we friggin' will pay dearly for anything we do against them. And if we're talking about blood of patriots and overthrowing a tyrannical government, aren't they friggin' part of that multicultural thing that's trying to replace us? Why shouldn't we go after them as a friggin' target of opportunity in a war of attrition? And of course, the answer is that these are innocent people. These people are probably pretty friggin' nice. They don't deserve to be killed. You don't need to go Dylan Roof on the friggin' Muslims, But for a second there, just a second, this little kernel of frigging, I won't say evil, but I will say patriotism, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, right? Radicalism, kind of crept into my thoughts. And thinking about that video I made, when I hear the argument now, using guns to overthrow a tyrannical government, it leads me to the same question. How do we define a tyrannical government? If you want to go outright, that's very simple, You've got friggin' people who friggin' are subversive, friggin' a cultural Marxist, friggin' globalist socialist narrative that's slowly obscuring the domestic contingency of any political power by a world-dominating friggin' idea. And no, it's not just the Jews are doing it. But in a sense, there is some truth to that, because part of the globalist narrative, at least supposedly, right, is that religion, the Abrahamic religions, and especially the interfaith organizations, have an ear to the friggin' United States and European and other Western governments, like Australia, New Zealand, any English speaking place. you know, these people have an ear, but so do the socialists. The elites friggin' sit there at friggin' $100 or $1,000 a plate dinners, thumbing their noses at each other, and whatever this and this means, I still can't look it up online and find it. But they friggin' are playing some little friggin' patty cake war, or maybe it's just smiling in their sleeves because they have a divided but two party kind of one system application to keep us in line, probably from keeping us from friggin' going to civil war. And well, that's what you get on the right, on the alt right, on the boomer right, on the mainstream right. The Jews are our best friends, and it's all traditional, and all of that religious thing. It's also tied in with corporatism and big business. That's the glue that really holds it together between the socialists and the freaking and the oligarchs is corporatism. Because there's a lot of money in friggin' liberalism when you get high up into the things, the environmentalism, the medical care. Supposedly, the pharmaceutical industry is conservative, but who knows? I could debate that for a second. I mean, they're obviously inflating medicine prices, but who's prescribing those medicines? The medical psychiatric associations, and that's an aspect of medicine, and that's one of the purviews, of the left, right along with freaking media, social media, and art, and freaking something else. I forgot one other. I think there's one more, but in any case, the point is that we have to see that when we say these kind of statements like overthrowing a tyrannical government, how does that really apply now, today, in this reality? And I'm really not sure that it does or it can. Because, for example, what we were talking about was people who basically had heavy cannons that they had to move around by horses. And the technological reality was that you have a single shot muzzle loader, and your armed strength, like much of history except more, was by a single armed individual, except for truly bulky siege weapons that really could only be used against buildings. Or when it came to cannons, buckshot. So basically it had some anti-personnel aspect to them, but they were so removable, they were really not good for anything except sustained battles. Like people on different firing lines, why people marched in unison instead of hidden, did guerrilla war, because they needed that organization for that firepower. Now, in our day, though, with all kinds of technological advantages, air power, tanks, armor, radio, communication, surveillance, um, air, did I say air power? All the things in modern warfare, including an organized infrastructure. You and your pals at the NRA are not going to be able to friggin' take your friggin' sidearms or friggin' rifles, even with good scopes, and mount a coup. You're not going to be able to secure an area from that will, from domestic power by the establishment. The one example I could think of was freaking the Black Panthers, who tried to friggin' arm themselves and keep frigging institutionalized white racism at bay. Well, supposedly. Well, yes, it was there. I had to admit it even. But they couldn't do that because they just passed a friggin', I think it was Ronald Reagan, or maybe it was Nixon. Somebody passed a bill that said, no, you can't friggin' walk around with friggin' rifles and shotguns out in public. Especially in force. And those that resisted died. And they call it a police action. But there's no way you can establish that kind of stronghold. You can have areas that are frigging anarchic, hoods and hoodlums, and they might gain a temporary advantage, but sooner or later, the police will come in because it's disorganized, and he will just frigging, break it down. So, I'm really wondering, how can the idea of an armed resistance overthrow a tyrannical government? Because A, what is tyrannical? And B, I don't think it's even possible. Although they do say firearms are really the deadliest weapons out there. Even freaking all the way up to nuclear weapons. Firearms are the deadliest. It's been proven. Well, at least I've heard it's been said. So, I have to wonder, when people are saying, when we talk about when we talk about, I finally ran out of steam. When we talk about frigging overthrowing a tyrannical government, hey, got it back. How does that really work? How does spilling the blood of tyrants make us free? Really? And it's funny, but even though the left is anti-gun, although with Antifa and stuff, they friggin' seem to be friggin' liking their violence too. That's because they're not democratic socialists. They're friggin', which is really the majority, if not the main core, of friggin' the radical left. Or at least the ideological left. They are friggin' anarcho-communists. And they do like violence. What happens when they start getting armed? But of course the same thing will happen to them. And politically, they haven't got a leg to stand on because they have to follow the liberal montage or lose any friggin' support whatsoever they get from the public media. So, really, when you say friggin', we need arms to overthrow a tyrannical government, What are you really saying? I think it's just rhetoric. Tell me what you think it means. Maybe there's something I missed on this, just coming from a rant from the top of my head. But I've heard so many people talking about frigging arms and rights and liberties and militias and stuff. How does that work? I don't know. Maybe I missed something. You tell me. Okay? Alright. Anybody who stayed around this long? I hope I did a good video for you. Sorry I paused in a few places. But I'm going to go now and thanks much. Bang bang!